Clap your hands to the rhythm of the music because this is Bocce time! Welcome to Popol University 2026 World Bocce Cup! Please welcome the players for this first round of matches. Playing on court number 1 for the BC1 female third place match, the match between Dora Basic from Croatia and Desiree Segarra from Spain. The official will be Marie-Claire Parent. Playing on court number 2 for the BC1 female final, the match is between Handayani from Indonesia and Andreza de Oliveira do Brazil. The official will be Simon Reis. Playing on court number 3 for the BC3 male final match, the match between Panagiotis Katsounis from Greece and Orong Young from South Korea. The official will be Darren Thompson. Playing on court number 4 for the BC3 male for the third place match, the match between Grigorios Polykaridis from Greece and Daniel Mitchell from Australia. The official will be Martina Kincheshova. Playing on court number 6 for the BC2 male third place match, the match between Maciel Santos from Brazil versus Robert Mezic from Slovakia. The official will be Nuno Bastos. Playing on court number 8 for the BC2 male final, the match between Muhammad Erlangga from Indonesia and Felix Ardiuda from Indonesia. The official will be Aline Pereira. Good luck to all and may the best win.
Welcome once again, everyone, back here to court number 2, where now we have the BC1 female final between Handayani from Indonesia and Andreza de Oliveira from Brazil. And I'm Diogo Carvalho. I'll be commentating this game today, and with me I have Mr. Paul Trainer, CEO from World Bocce. Paul, thank you so much for coming here to talk with us for this game. It's an honor having you here.
Oh, thank you very much. It is absolutely my pleasure. Very pleased to be here.
So, here we're gonna have another great match as we had whole competition here. I think that court number 2 had the best matches, the most intense matches, decided on the last ball by a few centimeters. And now we're gonna have Handayani that is the second in the world ranking, and Andreza that is on the third. It's the number 1 seeded and second seeded player on this competition. It's gonna be an intense match. And Paul, what can we expect from this match, this encounter here?
I think you've described it very well. I think we can expect a very, very close match between, as you say, the 2 highest ranked female BC1s here. So, and also there have already been a number of extremely close matches. And no different.
And of course, these 2 players know what is to win to be in finals, as Handayani has won the Seoul 2025 and Astana 2026 World Bocce Cup, and of course Andreza won here in 2024 and also this year in Montreal. And we're gonna have here a rematch from the Astana 2026 World Bocce Cup final. Of course Andreza will try to win this one, and how important can that match be in their minds?
I'm sure it's a factor. Absolutely. Haven't played each other so recently. However, I think it'll be a very close match in the end. It's great to see, the Indonesians doing so well. Again, they've become such strong nation in World Boccia. Really, their development over the last 5 years has been, well, nothing short of incredible, really. To get where they are now, and you see winning multiple gold medals, dominating events, actually.
And that's one of the things that we've been watching on these past years. Of course, a long time ago, we had Portugal almost dominating Boccia, and now we're seeing that influence move towards the Asian continent. How can that be explained, that resurgence of Indonesian, Chinese players from Hong Kong appearing on the international scene?
Yeah, I think it's a real positive. I think what you see is the development of a sport before our eyes. Like you mentioned, Central European teams, Portugal dominated for a long time, then Brazil, you know, and still, I mean, both these teams are still very strong. But you saw Brazil dominate, and now, certainly as of Paris 2024, you really do see the Asian teams becoming more dominant, be that Indonesia or Hong Kong or South Korea. You know, they really have taken the sport extremely seriously, lots of investment into training facilities, into sports science and medicine and nutrition and all of these things that make for good and strong athletes. And you see that more in Asia now than you have done in the past. And it's great for the sport. And Portugal, the rest of the Europeans, the South Americans, the rest of the world actually, you know, they need to catch up, and they are doing.
Of course, now we're just waiting for the official to start the match. We're waiting also on the other courts as all matches start at the same time. And it will be Handayani to start the match.
Start matches!
She's playing with the red balls. The referee now give the jack to her assistant. She'll now play the first ball. It'll be a short game to her left side. And Paul taking advantage of having someone from World Boccia here, and something that I already talked yesterday with players, coaches, with also Erinald. He was here yesterday, and today also with another coach. We have the World Championships so close, and this is also almost a preview of what we're able to see. How are things getting ready for the World Championship in a couple of weeks only?
Yeah, it's come around really fast, as these things always do.
As you now saw the first ball. It wasn't the best positioning from player from Indonesia. So Andreza now has the opportunity to push the jack. And Paul moving to
Talk about the World Championships. I thought you were trying to get Yeah, no. So going back to the World Championships, it's looking like being a fabulous event. It's a really, you know, Seoul's a great city, you know, and a fabulous host. The KSPO Dome, where the events will be held, is a really fabulous venue. We're looking at somewhere around 190 athletes, 47 or so nations, which, you know, these are big numbers. They're really good numbers and show the strength of the sport. 47 nations competing at the World Championships is incredible, absolutely incredible, and about 500 people in total in terms of team members there. So it's, you know, it's going to be the biggest World Championships by some margin. So yeah, really looking forward to it. It's going to be good.
And you talked about the number of nations and people that are going to be there. How do you manage to get all those people from very different cultures to get on the same place? How can you manage a competition like that?
Yeah, it's a huge logistical challenge. You know, as we know, our HOCs, they do a fantastic job. World champs, you know, we are talking about almost twice the number of athletes that you might traditionally see at a World Cup, give or take, and that has significant logistical challenges, especially with boccia athletes. You know, transportation, actually the infrastructure to get that many people into a city at the same time, by air, is a real challenge, and it does help that it's a major city and a major hub airport, to enable those logistics to take place. But you know, have to make thanks to our member in Korea, and the HOC for the work that they've put into it. They really do the hard work in the background.
As we now saw the fourth ball from ANDREZA, the referee will need to measure the distance between the balls to know who's the next to play. Of course, already the fourth ball from ANDREZA, only one from HANDAYANI. It's a tie, so will be the player that made the tie happening to play, will be ANDREZA to play. And rewind just a little bit to what you were saying about the infrastructures. Yesterday with Erinaldo, we talked about what makes an event be a great one, and he said that it was all about treating people well, the infrastructures, where they sleep, where they eat, and how they go from one place to another. Do you agree with that view? And what else do you think can make a good event be a great one?
Yeah, no, difficult to disagree with Ronaldo. He's organised quite a few competitions down in Brazil. Some our last World Championships was in Rio, and it was a fabulous event. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's ultimately it's about the athlete experience. It's about that athlete and team experience, and you know, and how they feel, but you know how easy it is for them to, you know, go from the airport to the hotel and then to the venue. Transport, always a big challenge. Always a massive challenge for any HOC, and getting that right is critical. But yeah, on top of that, it's, you know, it's about the things that you can add, the value you can add. You know, things like sports presentation, doing things a little bit differently, broadcast. You know, we're trialing the mix zone here. We'll have a mix zone in our World Championships in Seoul. You know, these things are important, not just for the event, but you know, to put the athletes on center stage, make them feel important, as we should, because they are the stars of our game. You know, they are and should be the focus. And I think that's of critical importance as we move forward at any event, actually, not just the World Championships.
Okay, so now we saw ANDREZA played all her 6 balls.
It's a great shot.
Now only the second, and it's a great ball from HANDAYANI that now we'll try to maximize this position and gain an important advantage here on this final. Let's see now how this ball goes. She managed to take the jack out of the blue waves. She has for the score, I believe it's only 1.
Yeah, she could really maximize this position here.
And as we've been seeing, it's all about the small details that can make the difference in the end. And I believe she managed to score her second point. It's so much different to play into space as she has two balls in front of her, covering the way to the jack. And she now play her last ball with 1 minute 25 left. And it wasn't the best ball that she could play. It's 3 for red, 3 for Handayani. Of course, she was hoping to score more here, but Andreza saw the position could be way harder, and she now will go to the second end, and she'll be the one to start. And of course, she'll try to make it back to the game. As we give you a quick update on all the other games, and on court number 1, the 3rd and 4th place for the BC1 female category. Dora Basic from Croatia is winning 2-0 against Desiree Segarra. They're going also to the second end, and all the other games that we have is the BC3 finals and BC2, and they're all happening now. Marcel Santos from Brazil is winning 3-0 against Robert Mezic from Slovakia, and on court number 8, Hardy Yuda from Indonesia winning against his fellow mate from Indonesia, Mohamed Erlanga, 2-0. Now we start to get ready for the second hand here. And Paul, talking a little bit about the development. You already said that the last World Championships were in Brazil. This one will be in Seoul. So one in South America, now one in Asia. When it's going to move towards maybe Africa, that it's a continent that it's now getting more used to playing bocce. We're seeing some regional championships. When that can happen, and that can be a decisive factor to develop in Africa also.
Yeah, what we're seeing in Africa is, like you mentioned, a continuity of competitions happening there year on year. You know, we've got strong support from our member in Egypt with the Cairo Challenger and regional championships over the last few years. We have South Africa coming back on the schedule as well, which is obviously fantastic to see. You know, and we are seeing an increase in membership from the African nations, which is great. Still lots and lots of work to do there. World Championships, in terms of 2030 championships, the bid process is ongoing at the moment. Can't give you a great deal of detail on that, but I can tell you that we've got 4 bids, and they are from diverse parts of the world. So our bids committee and our board ultimately will have a decision to make there once we've done some site visits. But it again, really good position to be in. We're really lucky with our HOCs and their competence and their willingness to host events. We're in a fortunate position where, for World Championships, sure, we've got 4 bids. That's absolutely great. But also year in, year out, we have far more bids than we have competition spots. Now, that's great for the sport and makes it competitive. It obviously means sometimes people are disappointed because there needs to be a little bit of a change now and again. We need to bring new members. We need to give them opportunities to host competitions as well. Look at Kazakhstan. Look at Astana. Last year Challenger, this year World Cup. Fabulous events they've hosted there, their first 2 years. So we need to be able to give these people opportunities to organise competitions. So we're in a really good place with our HOCs, with our host organising committees.
And maybe talking not in detail, as I know that these things are a bit secretive about the bids. You said that you had 4 bids. What can make a bid stand out from the rest? What is that one thing that you look for to stand out?
Yeah, I mean, there's some real basic and obvious ones like we spoke about before. The venue. course, it needs to be a high quality venue. It needs to be able to hold the spectators that we want. Broadcast is an element of that. Accommodation, particularly accessible accommodation. Simple things like, you know, proximity between hotels and venue can have an impact as well. You know, we're lucky here, it's a short distance. Local government in Povua, they've done a great job in terms of making the pavements and the access accessible as well. So these are important factors. You know, cost is an important factor in everything, always. But it comes down to, more often than not, because these are givens. You know, these are things that every competition has to have. But it comes down to that value add. You know, what are they going to bring? What are they going to do different? How are they going to improve the next edition of the World Championships from what we've seen before? These are the sort of things that you know, that really get your bid across the line.
Okay, now as we're underway here on the second end, Andresa de Oliveira played a longer game to help herself turn the game around, and that's what's been happening. She knows that the long game precision and accuracy it's difficult to obtain. She knows that, and she trains for this. And I believe she's now scoring at least 2 points. So this can be also a decisive game plan to win the match. So her opponent's going to the fifth ball. And a little bit more than 1 minute left to play. And once again, it's the short ball, but in the way of Andreza. And Paul, you were talking about Povua, and of course we have this competition in Povua since 1996. So I wasn't even born when the first competition took place here, and that happened. The municipality grew around also this competition. They saw that every year people with disabilities came to this city and needed to go on to infrastructures. They needed to go to the hotels. They needed transportation. They needed to go also to the beach. We're really close to the beach. And do you see that happening in other cities where you receive the World Cups, that the cities develop also around this event?
I think to a certain extent, yes. You certainly see, in terms of legacy plans from sort of Paralympics, you do see that. We saw it in Paris beforehand, and the work that's taken place there afterwards, particularly in things like the subway. But you know, Povua is a really a fantastic example of that, a real shining light, in fact, of that relationship between a competition and the local government, and them actually investing in the infrastructure and understanding what is required to get people in wheelchairs, you know, around. And these should be givens, of course. When you're dealing with like very old cities, they weren't thinking about it back in the 1800s. But Povua is a wonderful example of exactly that. And I couldn't give you another example of a city that's doing it in such a way. What I would say is, and what we are seeing, is things like you know, Paralympic training centres being developed more and more around the world. I was fortunate enough to be in Alabama at Lakeshore at our competition there. I was blown away by the people there, but also by the facility itself. And Korea, they have a wonderful setup. Kazakhstan, Brazil, they're looking to develop a Paralympic training centre in every region in Brazil. So lots of things are happening in terms of the development of the sport and the accessibility side of things, which is obviously great to see in terms of that societal awareness.
course, now ANDREZA will go for the last ball in this end with 30 seconds left to play. She'll want to put this ball in the scoring position to tie the game. But she will manage. The referee said 2 for blue. Handayani from Indonesia wanted to go onto the court to check. She agrees that she doesn't ask for any measurements to take place.
Two very different ends of boccia there. One goes short, the next goes long. It's very interesting to see the tactical differences there.
So, second end finish, 2 for ANDREZA, brings the game to 3-2 still for Handayani. And as we've been seeing, the first end ended 3-0. This one 2-0 for the other opponent. The game plan can make a real big difference. And bringing you a quick update on the other games taking place here on court number 1. Doro Bazic from Croatia is winning 2-1 against Desiree Segarra. On court number 3, on the BC3 male final, Jeong from Korea is winning 3-0 against Katsunis from Greece. On the 3rd and 4th place, Grigoris Polikronidis from Greece is winning 3-0 against Daniel Mitchell. BC2 male 3rd place match, Marcelo Sanch is winning 4-0 against Robert Mezic from Slovakia. And finally on court number 8, the BC2 male final, it's 2 for Arda Yudi from Indonesia and 0 for Erlanga, also from Indonesia. They're finishing now the second end. As now we go back to court number 2 with Handayani to play next. Let's see here now. Now once again a short game by the Indonesian player. Let's see now if she can manage a good position here. It can make a big difference. As I talked with other coaches, I asked about what it's possible to do to attract more viewers to this amazing sports, as we now see Handayani miss a position shot that can open ANDREZA's chances here on this end. Continue with my question. What can we do to make these sports more attractable to not only sponsors but also to another viewers? Because we that know the sports, this sport, we are in love with it, and once you get into boccia, it's almost impossible to get out. You always get a chance to come back and you don't refuse it. So how can we go and make it appealing to the general audience?
Yeah, it's a really great question. There's a lot we can do. There's lots of advantages that we have, as you've just described. It's a wonderful sport. It's a great spectator sport. It looks good on TV. So all of those things are real advantages. One of the disadvantages we've got is actually not that many people know about boccia, and that's a challenge. And that's a challenge that's on us all to try and improve on that. But some of the things that we're pushing, and there's a few, and I don't want to talk for too long, take away from a fantastic match of boccia, but there's things like we're trying to build our broadcast offering. We have brought on a company called Redentes, who are based in Singapore, who will sell our rights on our behalf. So that's a real expert. They work in Formula 1, they work in football, they work in the Olympics and the Paralympics. So they've got huge experience, and they've been a fantastic help to us. And so that what we'll do there is we're trying to standardize our broadcast offering, also what it looks like, and try and standardize that to a certain extent in terms of the production. So that's a big move forward. We've got our journalist here, Graham Thomas. So we're working on the mix zone concept. I mean, it's not a new concept, the mix zone, but in terms of us trying to get our HOCs to provide a mixed zone so that we can get those interviews, those flash interviews. We've got the footage. What we want to do is make stars of the athletes, ultimately. Like we talked about earlier on. They're the main draw, 100%. They're who we need to focus on. And the mix zone, increase in broadcasting, can do that together. Also, I mean, more basic things from a World Botches perspective is we're redeveloping our website right now. We've got lots of things that we'd like to do in terms of from the software side, in terms of building the BCMS and the athlete profiles there, and making them the stars, and then doing that through our website also. So there's lots of things we can do, and we are trying to do, but it's on all of us and our members and everyone pushing together in the same direction.
One of the things that in conversations a few years ago I had with a friend was talking about a superstar, like in football. Of course, in Portugal we have Cristiano Ronaldo, Argentina has Messi, and every country and every sport, basketball has LeBron, Stephen Curry, Michael Jordan, of course. Do you think that a superstar in boccia could be also important to bring that attention, that a player by their aura and the way that they attract attention toward them can also bring that attention to the sport?
Yep. Well, I mean, first off, you forgot to say that Scotland's got Scott McTominay. No, yeah, absolutely. No, for sure, and I think that's actually kind of the point, and that's why I say that it's important for us all, because actually with those athletes, I mean, they are supremely good in their own sport, and we have a number of stars. In fact, we have a number of stars right here, and some are good at promoting themselves, and some of their some of the member federations are good at promoting them as well. Certainly, it's important. It's incumbent on us to do that also, but that's where we need to work together as a boccia family to promote the sport better generally. And we certainly want to do 100%. We want to play our part within that, and I think that's kind of where we're going with the website, and having our software speak to the website, so that when you go onto the website, it's very much fan focused. Right now, it's very much member focused in terms of the membership process and so on. What we want to do is flip that and make it very fan focused, so that when you go on there, the athletes are the stars. You see who's playing next, when they're head to head. You can go into their world ranking. You can see you can see photographs of them. You can see who they're playing next, what their record is, all of these sorts of things. Their world ranking, obvious things like that. And some interesting pieces within that are what equipment they use, what balls they play with, all of these sorts of things. So those are the sort of things that we're trying to develop in the background, and you'll see more of that this year. The website will be relaunched this year, so that will be something that we'll promote heavily. But again, we're going to need the members to feed into that as well, to build those profiles within the platform. But it's exciting times.
Of course, that's something that we all want to see, as we now see Andreza winning this end, and Handayani already launched the 6 balls, and Andreza will try to turn the game around. As you see here, she was scoring 1, and now perhaps scoring 3, from what it looks like. So she can turn this game around and go to the last end, only depending on herself. Let's see here now, still 2 balls left for her to play.
Looks good.
That's a great ball, Andreza. As we see here, she managed to go for that space.
Certainly looks like accounting 4 there.
She wants to come on to the court to check the result. Still 1 minute left to play the last ball. And from the referee's indication is 4 for blue. So she tried to go for one more and try to gain an even bigger advantage.
Oh, I think we know the answer to that.
And of course, a champion doesn't settle for 4 points. She'll want to go for the 5th. And of course, this can make a big difference in the game. Nice to go there. Let's see if it's enough. I believe so, yes. And the referee signals 5 for blue, 5 for Andreza on this third end. A third end that was started by her opponent, Handayani. So she won an end that was supposed to be her opponent's. So Andreza will now go for the 4th end, winning 7-3.
What a turnaround. They go from 3-0 down in the first end. Possibly should have been 4. To turn it around like that shows some great character.
The smallest difference that can make during the ends that can make a big difference in the end. So on court number 1, 3rd place, Dora Basic is winning 3-1 against Desiree Segarra. On court number 3, the final in the BC3 male category, Jeong from Korea is winning 5-0 against Katsunis from Greece. On court number 4, Polychronidis 3, Daniel Mitchell from Australia 2, Marcel Santos from Brazil 6, Robert Mezic 0 on court number 6, and on court number 8, Ardi Yuda from Indonesia 2, Erlanga also from Indonesia 1. So they're all very close matches that can be decided with the smallest inch difference. Now I believe we're gonna see once again Andreza play to the end of the court. Of course it worked on the second end. She's hoping to do the same thing here. Of course she'll try to go for gold here. And here the Brazilian anthem later on. And one thing that I talked with UK's coach, Vin Tromans, on the last game, and he saw that we had so many people from different countries here. How important are these sports events to bring a closer community, people that are around the globe, and they all turn out to come here. They're all working together, of course playing against each other, but they're here together because they love this sport. And how important can that be in the world that we're seeing today?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll leave the global context and the politics out of it. But you know, I'm always, you know, I've been here for a little over 3 years now. I've worked in Paralympic sport for quite a while, and I've worked in different sports. But I am always struck by and always happy to talk about we describe it as that World Boccia family. It's an unusual environment where everyone genuinely does get on so well. They all work together. They all support one another. Yeah, obviously everyone's exceptionally competitive when it comes to being on the field of play and wanting to win gold medals, of course. But as soon as the game's over, there's a hug, there's friendship, there's laughter between, regardless of who wins or loses. Of course there's disappointment, of course there is. But it's always taken in with great sportsmanship. And that's one of the things I really do appreciate about this sport.
And this could be an important ball, as Handayani needed to score 4. She already through 3 balls, and still not scoring. ANDREZA seeing the gold medal getting closer, but of course, it only ends when all the balls are thrown, and she'll come back now. Of course, trying to get herself in the scoring position. And you were seeing that there's a hug at the end of the matches. We're seeing after the games a sports assistant pushing the other athlete, the athlete that is not his, is pushing out on the court. They're talking. They have a really, I would say, a friendship towards each other, and that's something that you don't see at every other sport, especially in football. They almost fight every game. What is the difference? What is the difference in watching from those other games in that aspect?
I think there's just that feeling of community, really. You know, everyone's pushing in the same direction. Many of the teams train together, and one of the things we're talking about development earlier on. Well done.
And with this ball, ANDREZA is now closer to the gold than she was before, almost guaranteeing the victory.
Yeah, and around that development side, what we see is nations helping one another. It happened recently. We had an approach from Bhutan, interestingly, and they were looking for some advice in terms of development, building programs within schools for young grassroots players, and we helped them. Of course we did. We can provide them with information and documentation that they can use, and drills that they can do used in classrooms, and from other members who are willing to share it. But what we did was we put them in contact with India, and then they worked very, very closely with one another. An Indian delegation went to Bhutan. That sort of learning, it happens right at the beginning of their bocce journey. And that's happened all over. Happened with Korea, the Koreans helping in Indonesia. Others helped the Indonesians as well. And now the Indonesians are beating everyone, as we're saying right now. So, even the way, the basic way in which the sport's developed from a grassroots perspective is about community, and that we see that at the very top level here.
And of course, we talked before the game that match between ANDREZA and HANDAYANI in Astana this year. This was the re-edition of that final, and now it is ANDREZA de Oliveira that wins the World Bocce Cup here in Povo de Varzim. Para todos que nos acompanham no Brasil, ANDREZA ganha medalha de ouro e irá ouvir o hino e a bandeira a voar na posição mais alta logo na cerimónia. So, Bob, as I was talking in Portuguese, I talked about the game that they had in Astana, the re-edition. Now it is ANDREZA to smile, and we saw the difference that it made, the long game and the different approach.
Very much so.
So, I believe this is the end for this live transmission. Well, once again, thank you so much for being here with me and answer some of my questions, and to help for us to see how World Bocce is developing our sports, and also how can we help to do that. Once again, thank you very much, and we'll come back later on for the pairs and teams competition, as this was the last individual match that we had on court number 2. To all, see you later.